Today's lesson is lesson 1 of the 2G welding certification series, Introduction to the AWS Sense Documents. In our previous lesson in the 3G welding certification series, we went over all the documents of the AWS Sense concerning the certification, and they have your WPS. We'll still need to use the same WPS, and on that WPS you'll find the amperage and current ranges that's allowable. You'll find your AWS EDU-6, your blueprint. It'll also give you all the requirements of the root opening and the test assembly. But today, in table 3, it talks about the visual inspection criteria, what I'll be looking for. It'll also, in table 4, talks about the acceptance criteria. Once we bend it, what's acceptable. Figure 1 and 2 shows how that we'll cut them out and how we'll bend them. Annex A and B are just forms that we'll use to show whether you have passed the test or not. As you can see, maybe this form, the top 2 is for the 2G, the bottom 2 is for the 3G. We're doing the 2G today. But what I want to talk to you about is and then you also have terms and definitions, but what I want to quickly talk to you about, not to bore you too much, is the step-by-step welding procedure for a 2G welding certification. This procedure is different than the 3G procedure. Mainly, the main difference is we're going to do stringer beads instead of weave beads. And instead of going uphill, we're going to weld horizontally. Okay? A weave bead is where you're weaving it side to side. A stringer bead is where you're trying to hold it as still as you can and using as little electrode manipulation as possible. And you're going to be welding horizontally. In the procedure, you'll notice that there's 2 root passes and there's also 2 to 3 cover passes. So we want to make sure that we look over our welding procedure for the 2G, especially where it talks about sequencing, welding sequencing. Notice that we're now using stringer beads instead of weave beads. We're doing 2 root passes and also multiple cover passes. Move that down to change pages. I'm getting there. Let's see. 4th pass. Here. The 4th pass, or the last pass, you'll have at least 2 passes, a 2-pass cover pass. No weaving. It's hard when you're welding horizontally. It's hard to weave much because it all wants to sag down to the bottom. So in conclusion, I kind of went over some of your AWS Sense documents for lesson 1. Mainly I went over the step-by-step procedure because that's the only thing that's really changed between 2G and 3G, is that our procedures changed because we're now welding in a different position. Okay, the AWS Sense requires that you pass an uphill 3G and also a horizontal 2G with backing on 3/8 limited thickness plate. Thank you very much.